Chosen one, it is over, and this time the word is true. You have heard before that the end was coming, and it didn't arrive, so I am not going to ask you to believe this on hope alone. I am going to ask you to look at one simple thing. You are still here. The season that asked everything of you, the one that told you to be strong long past the point anyone should ever be asked to be strong, has run its full course, and you outlasted it. You made it through, not by pretending it didn't hurt, not by being carried over the worst of it on someone else's strength. You carried the weight all the way to the end, and now the end has finally come. God watched every step of that road, and the word being spoken over your life right now is not, hold on a little longer. The word is, rest now, because the proving is finished. I know part of you is still braced for the next blow, because that is what surviving teaches a person to do. But what you survived was never meant to be the whole of your story. It was the making of the one who gets to walk into everything that comes next. Before we go any further, let me tell you why it matters that you stay with me all the way to the end of this. By the time we finish, you are going to understand exactly what that long, brutal season was building inside of you, so you can finally stop grieving it as a loss. You are going to be able to name the signs that the shift has already started in your life, the ones you have been feeling but could never quite explain. You are going to get a clear picture of the new season opening in front of you, and the one thing that has quietly been keeping you from walking fully into it. And near the end, I am going to seal all of this over your life, in a way I want you present for, so stay. This was placed in front of you for a reason, and the part that matters most comes later. And one quiet note before we continue. Everything I share with you here is yours, freely. But if at any point along the way your spirit tells you there is something more you need for this next season, I have left a door open for you, in the description and in the pinned comment below. There is no rush. Don't go looking until you feel led. Just know it is there. Now, let me take you back, just for a moment, to the road you just walked, because I think you are more tired than you have let anyone see. You learned, somewhere along the way, to carry heavy things without making a sound. You smiled through weeks that were quietly taking you apart. You said you were fine when you were anything but fine. You kept showing up for people who never once stopped to ask how heavy your own load had become. And you did it for so long that this constant bracing started to feel normal. So hear me say it slowly. That is over now. The long stretch that demanded everything from you has reached its end, and I know that when you look back at all of it, a part of you still wonders what the point was, why it had to be that hard, why it had to take that long. So, let me tell you what I see when I look at the road behind you, because it is not what you think. What felt like destruction was completion. What felt like delay was development. What felt like silence from heaven was a strategy you couldn't see yet. And what felt like being forgotten was you being formed. In the dark, by hands you couldn't feel. There were three things that season was doing in you, even when it looked like it was only taking things away. The first is that it stripped something false off of you. There was a version of you that needed everyone's approval just to feel okay, and that version could not survive what you walked through. It had to go. The second is that it built an endurance in you that comfort never could have. You know now, in a way you did not know before, that you can lose almost everything and still get back up. That is not a small thing. That is the strongest thing a person can carry into the rest of their life. And the third is that it quietly cleared your life of people who were never meant to walk into this next season with you. It hurt when they left. But you understand now that not everyone was supposed to make this crossing with you. There is an old story about a man named Job. He lost nearly everything a person can lose, and for a long, agonizing stretch, heaven was silent. His friends told him he must have done something to deserve it. His own heart questioned everything, but he did not let go of who he was. He stayed faithful in the silence, not because he had answers, but because faithfulness in the dark is its own kind of strength. And in the end, what was taken was not just returned, it was multiplied. The silence was never absence. It was the deepest work being done in the very place he was sure he had been abandoned. And I hear something being said over you in this very hour. Rest now. The proving is finished. You do not have to keep earning what is already yours. Let me pause here, just for a breath. You have been listening for a few minutes now, and I want you to notice something simple. You carried all of that, every bit of it. And you carried it all the way here, to this exact moment, where you are finally able to set it down. You don't have to do anything with that right now. Just let it be true for a second. You made it. Okay, let me keep going, because the next part is the part you have been waiting for without even knowing it. You might think the message ends there. It is over. You survived. Rest. But that is only the road behind you. There is a doorway in front of you, and you are standing in it right now, even if no one has told you. Behind you is that long corridor, with all its closed doors and dead ends and rooms that held nothing but waiting. You will not have to walk it again. And in front of you is a line you are about to cross, from one season of your life into a completely different one. The reason I can tell you the shift has already started is that you have been feeling it, even if you couldn't name it. So let me name a few of those things for you now, so you know you are not imagining it. The first thing you may be noticing is that your emotions have been moving in waves that don't seem to have a reason. 1 hour you feel a strange, quiet peace, and the next, grief rises up out of nowhere. And underneath all of it, there is something like hope. That is not you becoming unstable. That is what happens when a season is changing. Your heart is finally processing the weight it is allowed to release. The second thing is that your patience for certain things has simply run out. Conversations that used to drain you now feel impossible to sit through. Rooms you used to tolerate now feel wrong in a way you can't argue with. People might be telling you that you've changed. You have, but not into someone colder, into someone who finally knows what their peace is worth. And the third thing is that the routines that used to hold your life together have quietly lost their grip on you. The things you did just to get through the day don't fit anymore, and part of you misses the structure, even though the structure was only ever survival. That ache is not a step backward. It is your spirit refusing to keep living in survival mode now that survival is over. There are quieter signs too. The way the right thing has started arriving without you having to force it. A door opening at exactly the moment you needed it, when for years every door felt jammed shut. And those small flashes of knowing, where you understand something about your own direction before you can even explain it. None of that is random. That is the season turning. Now here is the part where I have to be honest with you, because if I am not, the rest of this won't land. There is something standing between you and that doorway. And it is not the past. The past is finished. The thing standing in the way is that you keep waiting for it all to fall apart again. You have been through enough that hope has started to feel dangerous. Every time things got quiet and good before, the ground shifted under you, so you learned to stand, braced even in peace, scanning for the next thing to go wrong. I am not going to shame you for that. It is a kind of wisdom. But it is wisdom from a season that is over, and you are allowed to put it down. And there is one more thing I noticed about you, something I want to come back to in a moment, because it is tied to all of this. Somewhere in that long season, while you were busy surviving, something in you that used to be sharp went quiet. Your mind, your clarity, that quick inner spark you used to have, it feels dimmer now, like it got muffled under all the weight. You are not imagining that either. There is a real reason for it. And there is a researcher who spent decades mapping exactly what people coming out of a heavy season like yours need in order to come fully back online. He didn't build one small thing. He mapped an entire path of restoration. And today I want to open the first door of it for you. Actually, let me not hold that thought too long, because some of you are already feeling the pull, and I don't want to make you wait. What I am talking about has a name. It is called the Genius Song. In the simplest terms, it is a short piece of sound, built on something scientists call brain entrainment, designed to gently wake back up a specific frequency in your mind that the years quietly dimmed, the frequency tied to focus, to intuition, and to that flow you used to live in. The measurements behind it were taken in real labs, with real instruments. I am going to walk you through the whole of it later, the how and the why and everything else. So if you want the full picture, stay with me. But if your spirit already knows this is the door it has been looking for, I left it for you in the description and the pinned comment below. There is no pressure either way. Stay for the rest of the story, or step through the door now. Both are okay. For those staying with me, let me show you what is waiting on the other side of this threshold, because the new season has far more in it than you think. You have seen what the road behind you built. You have felt the signs that the shift has already begun. But there is a whole season opening in front of you that I haven't shown you yet, and there is that one thing still keeping you from walking fully into it. In the next part, I am going to take you across that threshold, and I am going to seal something over you that I want you awake for. So don't go anywhere. The best of this is still ahead. Welcome back, chosen one. Before we move forward, let me set you right back where we left off, standing in that doorway with the long corridor behind you and a brand new season just on the other side of the line. It is over. You made it through. Now let me show you what you made it through to. Here is what I want you to understand about the season opening in front of you. For those of you stepping into this, 3 areas of your life are about to be reorganized, and I want to prepare you for each one, so the changes don't frighten you when they come. The first is your relationships. Some connections you thought would be in your life forever are going to loosen, and a few are going to end. And I will be honest with you about how that feels. It will sting. You will lie awake some nights and wonder whether you pushed them away, whether you have somehow become hard to love. Do not do the thing you'll be tempted to do, which is to chase them, to over-explain yourself, to shrink back down to a size that once made them comfortable. That old season required a smaller you, this one doesn't. And here is what you can trust. Right at the moment you feel the most alone, people who speak your language, who understand the road you just walked, are going to start showing up. The right ones are coming. Let the wrong ones go. The second area is your purpose. For a long time, the fog made it hard to see what you were even for. You were so busy surviving that the bigger question of your life went quiet. That clarity is coming back. You are going to feel a pull towards something, a direction, a work, a calling that uses the exact things the hard season built in you. Nothing you suffered was wasted. It was training for an assignment you could not have carried before. And the third area is your provision. Doors that were sealed shut for years are going to start to open. Resources, opportunities, the practical things you prayed about when there was nothing left, they begin to move in this season. Not because you finally earned them, but because the season of waiting served its purpose, and the season of receiving has begun. And as all of this reorganizes around you, you are going to discover who you actually became out there in the wilderness. You became a warrior, the kind who holds their ground and does not collapse under pressure, because you have already proven you can stand while everything around you is shaking. You became a healer, the kind whose own wounds turn into medicine for other people, because you walked through a pain that gives you a language no comfortable person will ever have. And you became someone who goes first, who steps into new territory before anyone else is willing to, so that the ones behind you have a path to follow. There is an old image of a bird that is consumed entirely by fire, all the way down to ash, and then rises again out of that very same fire, more alive than before. That is not a story about avoiding the fire. It is a story about what the fire makes possible. You were not destroyed by what you walked through. You were rebuilt by it from the inside out. And the one who rises is not the same one who walked in. And over this new season, I hear it said clearly, I did not bring you this far to leave you here. What I have prepared for you is not the same as what you lost. It is more. In just a few moments, I am going to seal all of this over your life, and I want you fully present for it. But before I do, there are two more things you need. The first is this. You have to cross the threshold without dragging the old weight through it. Because here is what happens to most people who survive a hard season. They make it through the doorway, but they keep one foot still in the corridor. They keep flinching at doors that have no power over them anymore. They keep living braced for a blow that isn't coming, and they call it being careful, when really it is just the old season still quietly running their life. So I want to give you something to do, right where you are. You don't have to move at all. Just picture, for a moment, that everything you carried through that long season is gathered into one single weight, resting in your hands. All the bracing, all the fear that the good won't last, all the hardness survival asked of you. See it as one heavy thing. And now, in your mind, picture yourself stepping forward through that doorway, and as you cross the line, you simply open your hands and let it fall behind you, on the other side, where it belongs. You don't need it, where you are going. And as you do that, let these things be true over you. You are allowed to rest now. You are allowed to stop bracing. You are allowed to stop scanning for the next disaster. You are allowed to believe that the good arriving in your life is allowed to stay. You are allowed to become someone who is no longer at war. And you do not owe anyone an apology for finally being at peace. But there is a second thing, and it is the one I told you I would come back to. Because there is one part of this you cannot simply will away with a decision. Remember what I said earlier, about that spark in your mind that went quiet, the sharpness and clarity that got muffled under the years of weight. You can choose to set down the fear. You can choose to stop bracing. But you cannot just decide your way back into the mental clarity the long season dimmed. That part is not about willpower. It is about something that physically happened inside your mind. And I want to explain it to you plainly, because once you understand it, it changes everything. Let me gather all of this into a few simple sentences first, so it settles. The hard season of your life is over, and you made it through. That season was not a punishment. It was the thing that formed the person you are now, and you are allowed to believe it is truly over, and to stop bracing for it to come back. Hold those three things. They are the foundation under everything else. Now let me tell you about the one piece you can't fix just by deciding to. There is a frequency your brain produces called gamma. It is the fastest brainwave you have, and it is tied to the things you probably remember being effortless when you were young. Quick thinking, sharp intuition, that feeling of being fully alive and in flow, where ideas came easily and life felt bright. When you were a child, your mind ran rich with it. And then, slowly, life began to turn it down. The way we are schooled, the way we are taught to sit still and stop wondering, the sheer weight of the adult years, all of it dims that frequency over time. Researchers have a name for this slow fading. They call it the decline effect. And a heavy season like the one you just survived speeds it up, because survival pulls every resource your mind has just to keep you standing. A neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years studying this. His work, alongside research, echoed at places like MIT and Princeton and several other leading universities, found that this dimmed frequency is not gone. It is only dormant. It can be woken back up. And more than 18,000 people, 18,366 of them, to be exact, have now used what he created to do exactly that, with fewer than 4 out of every 100 ever asking for their money back, which tells you almost everyone who tries it chooses to keep it. This is the door I cracked open for you earlier, the one called the Genius Song. And here is why it matters specifically for someone like you. A chosen one did not start with an ordinary amount of this frequency. You started with more. Your sensitivity, your intuition, the way you feel everything so deeply, that was always your mind running at a higher setting than most. Which means when life turned it down in you, You felt the loss harder than other people feel it. That gap you've sensed, between the person you used to be and the person the hard years left you as. A great deal of that gap is this, and it can close. There was a woman who used it after a stretch of years much like yours. She said the first thing she noticed was small. She finished a thought she had started. Then she read a full page and actually remembered it. Within a few weeks, the fog that had been sitting over her mind for years began to lift, and she said it felt less like learning something new and more like getting herself back. That is usually how it goes. Not a thunderclap, a returning. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, because you have earned the right to think it. You have tried things before, apps, breathing courses, sounds that promised to heal you, and most of them did very little. So I understand the doubt completely, but hear the difference, because it matters. All of those things ask your mind to slowly change itself from the inside, which is slow and uncertain. This works the other way around. It gently guides the frequency from the outside. The way a tuning fork brings a string back into pitch. It is not one more thing on the same shelf. It is a different shelf, entirely. And for those of you whose first thought is that this sounds too good to be true, I want you to know that is the response of an intelligent person who has been let down before. So don't take it as a promise from me. Take it as something that was measured in real laboratories, with real instruments, and repeated across thousands of people. The question was never whether you believe me. The question is whether the data is real. And it is. And I know that for some of you, money is not a small thing right now. I would never speak about your situation as if it didn't matter, because I know what a hard season costs a person. So let me just lay it out honestly and let you decide for yourself. Think about what people normally spend trying to find their way back to themselves. A meditation app runs you around $15 a month, every month, with no end. A single therapy session is often $150. A weekend retreat can be $400, even $800, and not one of them is built to target this frequency directly. Dr. Lake took 34 years of work and pressed all of it into a single piece of sound you listen to for about 7 minutes a day. The full price for it is $49, but for those of you hearing this message, he set it at $39, a price you will not find on any store or any streaming service anywhere, because he wanted it to reach the people who actually need it. And it does not come alone. Along with it come 4 companion pieces, a version made for children, a rare book that quietly inspired ideas you already know, a guided journey through the parts of your life you most want to restore, and a simple set of daily habits to keep the frequency awake. On their own, those 4 are worth around $80. They come with it, free. And if you try it and feel nothing, you have 90 days to ask for every cent back, and you keep all 4 of those gifts anyway, as an apology for your time. The only real risk here is not trying. And here is the only kind of urgency I will ever put on you, because it is the honest kind. Every day that frequency stays dimmed is one more day you make your decisions, hold your relationships, and pray your prayers through a mind running at half its light. And you have already lived far too long like that. The version of you on the other side of this season, the one fully awake again, is looking back at this exact moment as the day you stopped waiting. The decision doesn't have to be perfect. It only has to be a first step. One word of caution, because I want to protect you. Once something works, imitations always follow, and there are cheaper copies of sounds like this floating around that were never built to target this frequency at all, and they will do nothing but waste the hope you are finally letting yourself feel. What Dr. Lake created is the real work, and the only safe place to find it is the link I left for you. Don't settle for an echo of the thing. So if your spirit has been quietly saying yes through all of this, then go and step through that door. Everything I described is waiting for you in the description and the pinned comment below. And whether you reach for it now or stay with me to the very end, I want you here for what comes next, because this is the part I told you not to miss. There is a man I heard about who came out of a season much like yours. For a long stretch, everything in his life had been stripped down to nothing, and he was certain he had been forgotten. But he kept his faith in the silence, the same way you did. And on the far side of it, the very strength those hard years had built in him became the thing that carried his next chapter higher than the one he had lost. He said it himself, near the end. The wilderness was not the punishment. It was the preparation. And that is your story too. You went in needing everyone's approval, and you are coming out secure in who you are. You went in bracing for the next blow, and you are coming out learning how to trust. You went in just trying to survive, and you are coming out ready to build. You went into that season as someone holding on, and you are walking out as someone who finally gets to begin. So let me seal this over you now. Wherever you are, however you are sitting or lying or resting, just let yourself be still for these last few moments. Take one slow breath, the kind you maybe haven't let yourself take in a very long time. And as you breathe out, let the last of that old season go out with it. You are not carrying it across this line. Receive these words over your life. The waiting is over. The fight you were in is finished. The proving is done. You have nothing left to earn, and no one left to convince. It is over. You made it through, and you are free to begin. And I hear the Father saying this over you gently as you cross. I have seen all of it. Not one tear of it was wasted. And what I am bringing you into is not a smaller version of what you lost. It is greater, and it will last. You are sealed. You are settled. You are sent into a new season, and the door behind you is closed for good. Before you go, do one small thing to mark this moment, because something shifts in a person when they say it out loud. In the comments below, simply write these 3 words. I made it. Let that be your declaration. Somewhere you can come back and see it on the days the old fear tries to creep back in. And when you write it, take a second to read what others have written, because you are not crossing this threshold alone. If this message found you at the exact moment you needed it, let it be known with a like, not for me, but so that this same word can reach the next tired soul, standing right where you were, certain they are not going to make it, needing to hear that they already have. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, someone you know who has been quietly carrying a heavy season of their own, send this to them. You may be the doorway someone else has been praying for. Stay close, chosen one. There is more coming for the season you are walking into. And from here on, you are walking into it free.